We asked ChatGPT the top marketing questions companies have, and we are taking them on one by one. Hear what these industry leaders say so you'll be in the know. Today we are speaking to Tia Calvin, the Digital Marketing Manager at Grace Hill, a real estate technology learning management system. She's a data-driven storyteller with experience in marketing, strategy, and design. Today we're answering the question, how can we effectively leverage social media to engage with our audience and drive sales? Welcome, Tia. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
How can we effectively leverage social media to engage with our audience and drive sales?
I think you need to create communities using high value content and use it to respond to customer demographic data.
Is it hard to build those social media communities? Like how do you begin to do that? What kind of content do you put out to gather people?
Yeah, I think when you talk about content, you really have to talk about value bringing content. People want to buy from organizations that they know and trust. And the way to build that is to give them things that they like and give them things that they want to know. So when you are in the marketplace and you find something that really resonates with you, that's when you'll follow that, and that's when your customers share your organization.
Right. But there are some businesses that do this better than others, aren't there? There are some businesses. I know that Tia, you have an online. Your company is kind of a platform based, right? And so people are coming to you already across that medium, right? They're already on the internet looking for you, and I suppose if you go to Tia's company, you can tell us a little bit about it. I know right away, the message pops up about the cookies, and so you're collecting information from the minute they enter. Is that an important feature and function of your site? And actually online, doing business online immediately?
Yes, definitely. I think all of that data is extremely important for us. We're in a really niche industry that's extremely relational driven. So it can be really difficult to get our content data that we need, but some of social is what we use for that. We really value our audience and our community. And our amazing social director, she's really good about knowing what our community wants and needs and speaking to that through our content. So, our webinars, our assets, our blogs, all of that lives on our website, which is, our primary driver for this industry. And we use social to promote those assets as well.
A lot of people don't want their information out there and they don't want you to learn about them. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. I think that people want the ease of, AI and the ease of someone knowing them, but they ultimately want a human that values them. So I think both of those things marketers really need to know how to address. Make it as easy as possible for someone to get to your site, to understand your product information. And all of that comes from, data and cookies, but then speak to them like a human, speak to them to where they understand that you are building a relationship and they want more of that.
What kind of tactics do you guys use so that they do understand that, hey, we want a relationship with you, so maybe eventually you'll buy our service, but maybe not in the beginning, but at some point along the line, right? Isn't that that's actually the end goal? But how do you do that?
For us, we really highlight, what our company is about. We're hardworking, we understand the industry, we're up to date, we love our clients. All of those things are people-centered marketing efforts that we really focus on, and our clients resonate because that's what they want for their companies as well.
That's very true. Very true. So how do you then take all that analytical information, all the data, and even this and the social data? And so then how do you then sift through it and find who your ideal customer is? You probably have markers, right? Every company kind of knows the kind of people that are using their services and attracted to their services. But I guess the question is then how do you reach them?
Sales, it's really easy to get that customer demographic on paper, your quote unquote personas, but social media helps you learn that more granular information about, their interests and needs and behaviors. And so that's where you can really start to convert that social media effort into sales ROI. I definitely think it's something that companies are starting to do more and they're recognizing the importance of. But that's what builds your brand and creates that positive association with their community. People want to buy from companies that have a presence on social media. and it gives them trust and it gives them value. And that's what you want in the marketplace. You're building that relationship with buyers before they even know that they need you. So when you're ready for the sale, they can trust you and they know you.
Can you give an example of a couple of things that you look to know about your potential customers? Some parameters that if this person, is this type of person, this job, this industry, whatever, then that they're a person you really should be marketing to. What kind of demographics? Just examples is probably helpful for business owners to hear.
Two things we focus on. One is age. People buy for different reasons at different ages. They also are present on different platforms at different ages. So, things like Facebook may skew to an older demographic, whereas, Instagram and TikTok may skew younger. And so people in certain demographics just tend to be on different platforms. And so your marketing does reflect that. And then also role is a really big one in our specific industry. People who are the buyers, who may speak to the buyers, who are influencers, are all at different roles and different places in their careers. So we really speak to, property managers in a different way that you may speak to an executive, simply because that's what the content that relates to them. We know that those are different roles and they have different time constraints and they want different things out of our content. And so we try to address all of the different areas that, that role may need.
Absolutely. Do you find that your company, which is in real estate, it's a real estate platform, can you tell us a little bit more about it, the thumbnail view of Grace Hill, the company you're with?
Grace Hill is real estate software. So we focus specifically on multifamily and commercial real estate, anything from training to policy management to, surveys, different things in the industry to address those pain points for property managers and organizations like that.
And what kind of social channels do you guys focus on in the real estate industry?
It can be difficult sometimes just because it is such a niche industry. LinkedIn is a huge driver for sales, as well as Instagram. That community piece is really where Instagram thrives, and Facebook is in the same vein with that.
How have you used the social media platform to drive sales? What different ads have you done, or what content have you put out there that you found to be successful?
It definitely changes per platform. I would say the content that performs best is really the one that's optimized. So for me, some of the specifics that I've seen in the industry, like something that performs well on Twitter in 120 characters, you absolutely need to change the format for Instagram and create something that is completely different, visual, to explain the topic in more detail. So it's not supposed to be one size fits all. I've done short form videos before that have absolutely performed well as a reel, and you post it on Twitter and it goes nowhere. So you really need to be where your audience is and understand how those different platforms optimize content.
Do you feel that you're more effective at targeting customers if you are the actual content developer? Like if you do it all in a role, not only do you have access to the analytics and the data on your customer, but you're also creating the content. Is that something that we're going to see more and more? Because right now, sometimes companies have those in different silos. What's your thoughts on that?
Personally, I don't think that the social media marketer role should be, they do everything. I think sometimes people assume that just because you can do anything that you should. But I think oftentimes, you may not be looking for a social media marketer. You may be looking for a video editor, or you may be looking for a community manager. And while we can do all of those roles, I think ultimately you want someone who understands your audience and is the best for what they are doing. And so you may need a team, and that's where you can get the most return on, being a good social media manager, is having a lot of hands in the pot.
Right, because you have a lot of diverse thought and a lot of different viewpoints, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that ever, though, clog it up, slow it down, or that's not been your experience? It's made it better? What are your thoughts?
I think it can if the processes are in place. I think if you have a good approval process, you have the right tools, you have a good leader who understands, how to move content through a funnel. I think it doesn't clog up the process, it only makes your content better.
Right. And one of the, I think the important thing is also to be dynamic in your response to your ads. Can you talk a little bit about that? How important that is to really follow the analytics and understand, the reaction some of your ads are getting, correct?
Something that I've definitely learned is how to pivot. I had a professor that said speak softly but with loud data. And that basically means, just because something is working, you'd still want to optimize it. You still want to know why. And that's part of the key of marketing, is always wanting to know why something is working and how to replicate it. With ads, especially, I would say, promote what's working, identify what resonates, and boost that. Put some money behind that, and get it to even more people. Get that outreach out there even more for what's working. Not everything has to be created from scratch. Not everything has to be completely redone. Optimize what's already going well.
But how do you effectively measure the ROI? Like, what are you looking for when those numbers come in? What tells you this is working, this isn't working? I know the obvious, but there's subtleties to reading the data, are there not?
There are. I think it definitely is different for every industry and every organization. I think especially for ads, everyone focuses on, what's a revenue driver, what is bringing in leads. But sometimes social media awareness and engagement is just as important. Um, I think, when you talk about putting content out in the industry, you talk about building community, it's not always going to be one to one. One like is one sale. It's just not how it works in social media. But it definitely is something that can drive ROI. I think especially when you talk about your website, especially in the B2B space, website is usually your biggest converter and sales tool. So if you're able to track that you're driving visitors from an ad campaign or a social media campaign to a landing page that's conversion focused, then you're showing that you can push prospects through your sales funnel. And that's what leads to ROI. So it may not always be as simple as, this is leading to this, but you absolutely can drive sales and revenue with social media.
I think that's the subtleties I was talking about. It's really, getting in there and also knowing your product, your solution, what you're marketing, right?
Yes.
Do you have any tips you can give about businesses who want to optimize their social media, sales and their ads and, just generally their campaigns? What tips would you give them?
First, I think it's really important to build in community to your strategy. Your customers care about what they can relate to and what gives them value. So prioritizing that, it will really be critical to your success. Social media is noisy. People are bombarded with selling content, but people want assets and relatability to break through that noise. And that's really something that I think marketing is trending towards and people are receptive to.
What strategies or ad campaigns are you loving right now on the internet that you think are effective and really kind of, you know, you're I don't know, envious might not be the right word, but float your boat. How about that?
I think I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Grace Hill. Something that we absolutely love that we're doing right now is highlighting the Impact Hero Awards. So we're showcasing our community and our clients to share, people's stories that how they impact the community. And every year, we give them this chance to share back with us in that engagement, reach out to us directly, highlight people, and then we award them by, sending money to the charity of their choice. And so that I think not only highlights our clients, but highlights the Grace Hill impact that we care about what our customers are doing and how their organizations are sharing good around them.
Why do you think that's effective? Why do you think that resonates with people and they respond to it?
It honestly boils down to people love people. We care about seeing good in our community. We care about those around us, and we ultimately want to do the best for everyone that's not just in business but in an industry, and supporting people around us. So corporate social responsibility is something that's become not necessarily a trend, but it's definitely become something in the marketing industry that companies are resonating with. People are going green, people are highlighting their efforts and using their voice, and all of those things are just relational to people. It's people centered, and that's what matters.
Thank you so much, Tia. I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts and really your industry expertise.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.